Stop everything you're doing right now. What I'm about to reveal to you is the most embarrassing, most disgusting, and most career-ending moment in Monday Night Raw history. And no, WWE doesn't want you talking about this. They're scrubbing the internet clean as we speak. But we have the full story, and I'm breaking it down frame by frame. This is Wrestle Scope, and I'm your host, bringing you the raw, unfiltered truth that the mainstream wrestling media is too scared to touch. If what I'm about to show you doesn't make your jaw drop to the floor, if this doesn't make you question everything you thought you knew about WWE's production standards, then I don't know what will. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. Let's get into it. Breaking news segment. Monday Night Raw, November 25th, 2025. What was supposed to be just another episode of WWE's flagship show turned into an absolute nightmare that has the entire wrestling world in complete chaos. Bronson Reed, the 330-pound monster from Australia, the man who's been demolishing everyone in his path, the tsunami that's been crashing through the WWE roster, was involved in what can only be described as the most humiliating incident in modern wrestling history. And here's what really grinds my gears. Here's what makes my blood boil. WWE thought they could just hide this. They thought they could sweep it under the rug like it never happened. They cut to commercial, they edited it out of the Hulu version, they're deleting comments on social media. But the truth always comes out, and today, we are exposing everything. Now, before we dive into the graphic details of what actually happened, and trust me, you're not prepared for this, we need to understand the context. We need to understand what led to this catastrophic moment. Because this wasn't just a random incident. Oh, no. This was a perfect storm of corporate negligence, performer endangerment, and WWE's obsession with pushing talent beyond human limits. Bronson Reed was scheduled for a high-impact match that night. Sources backstage, and yes, we have multiple sources that are risking their jobs to get this information to us, they told us that Reed complained about feeling unwell hours before the show even started. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Bronson Reed told medical staff he was sick. He told them he was experiencing severe stomach distress. He told them he needed to see a doctor. And what did WWE officials do? What did they do? They told him to tough it out. They told him the show must go on. They gave him some Pepto-Bismol and told him to get ready for his segment. This is the corporate culture we're dealing with. This is the machine that chews up performers and spits them out. And tonight, it all came crashing down in the most literal, most disgusting way possible. The incident breakdown. All right, let me paint you the picture of exactly what happened. And I want you to imagine this. Imagine you're sitting in the audience. Imagine you paid good money for those tickets. Imagine you brought your kids to this show. Third hour of Raw. Bronson Reed's music hits. The arena erupts because this man has been on an absolute tear lately. He's been crushing opposition, he's been delivering tsunamis left and right, the crowd is hyped. Reed makes his entrance, but something's off. Those of us who've watched wrestling for years, we can spot when a performer isn't right. His walk was different, his demeanor was off, he looked pale under those arena lights. He gets in the ring, and he's supposed to cut this intense promo about his upcoming match at the next premium live event. The microphone's in his hand, the crowd is chanting, and then it happened. Right there, in the middle of the ring, on live television, in front of millions of viewers worldwide, Bronson Reed completely and involuntarily lost control of his bowels. I'm not making this up. I wish I was making this up, but this is the reality of what happened. The cameras immediately cut away, but not before several in-arena fans captured footage on their phones. The commentary team went silent, completely silent for a full 15 seconds before Michael Cole desperately tried to pivot to talking about upcoming matches. Production cut to a commercial break so fast that it was obvious something catastrophic had occurred. And when they came back from commercial, Bronson Reed was gone. The ring was empty, and they pretended like nothing had happened. They brought out another segment, they moved on with the show like the previous 10 minutes had been erased from existence. But here's what they don't want you to know. Here's the real story that's been suppressed by WWE's PR machine. Backstage chaos. Our sources backstage described the scene as absolute pandemonium. The moment those cameras cut to commercial, there were dozens of people rushing to that ring. Medical staff, production assistants, ring crew, everyone scrambling to deal with this unprecedented situation. Bronson Reed, and my heart goes out to this man, it really does, because nobody deserves this. He was rushed backstage immediately. He was humiliated. He was in physical distress. And according to our sources, he was literally in tears because of the embarrassment. But here's where it gets worse. Here's where WWE's true colors show. Instead of immediately getting him proper medical attention, instead of treating this as the serious medical emergency it clearly was, WWE officials were more concerned about damage control. They were more worried about the PR nightmare than about their performers' health and well-being. One source told us, and I quote, "It was all about controlling the narrative." They had people checking social media before they even got Bronson properly checked out by a doctor. Their priority was suppressing the story, not taking care of their talent. That is disgusting. That is absolutely unacceptable. And it shows you everything you need to know about how WWE treats their performers. Now, let's talk about what caused this incident. Because this wasn't just bad luck. This wasn't just Bronson having an unfortunate moment. Oh no, this goes deeper. WWE's schedule is brutal. These performers are on the road 300 days a year. They're eating terrible catering food, they're dealing with constant travel, they're pushing their bodies to the absolute limits. And on this particular day, catering at the venue served food that multiple performers complained about throughout the afternoon. We've heard reports of at least 5 other wrestlers experiencing stomach issues that same day. But did WWE bring in different catering? Did they address the problem? No, they just told everyone to deal with it and get ready for their segments. This is a systematic failure. This is corporate negligence. And Bronson Reed became the unlucky casualty of WWE's penny-pinching and negligent attitude toward performer welfare. Social media meltdown. Now let's talk about the cover-up, because that's what this is, a full-scale cover-up. Within minutes of this incident occurring, WWE's social media team went into overdrive. Comments mentioning the incident were being deleted in real time. Accounts were being blocked. Videos from fans were being copyright struck on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. WWE filed dozens of DMCA takedown notices trying to scrub this footage from the internet. But here's what they forgot. Here's what they didn't account for. The internet never forgets. Screenshots were being shared. Screen recordings were being uploaded to every platform imaginable. The more WWE tried to suppress this story, the more people wanted to see it. The more they tried to control the narrative, the more it spiraled out of their control. Twitter, or X, whatever we're calling it now, absolutely exploded. Within an hour, there were 3 separate hashtags trending worldwide. Hashtag Bronson Reed, hashtag Raw Disaster, and hashtag WWE Cover-Up were all in the top 10 trending topics. And the wrestling community? Oh, they had opinions. Some fans were sympathetic, showing genuine concern for Bronson's health and well-being. Others were making jokes because that's what the internet does. But most people were angry at WWE. Angry at the company for putting Bronson in that position. Angry about the apparent food safety issues. Angry about the attempted cover-up. Angry about the lack of concern for performer health. Current and former wrestlers started chiming in too. We had people like Mick Foley tweeting about wrestler welfare. We had independent wrestlers sharing their own horror stories about unsafe working conditions. The entire wrestling industry was having a conversation about performer treatment that WWE absolutely did not want to happen. And you know what WWE's official response was? You know what their big statement said? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They released a generic statement about a performer experiencing a medical issue without addressing any of the real concerns. No apology to the fans who witnessed it, no acknowledgement of the catering problems, no transparency whatsoever. That is corporate cowardice. That is PR damage control at its absolute worst. Career implications.
Now let's talk about the human element here. Let's talk about Bronson Reed as a person and what this means for his career. This man has worked his entire life to get to WWE. He grinded on the independent scene in Australia, he proved himself in NXT, he got released during the pandemic cuts and had to claw his way back. He returned to WWE and was finally getting the push he deserved. He was being positioned as a legitimate monster heel, he was getting quality TV time, he was in meaningful feuds. His tsunami splash was becoming one of the most protected finishers on the roster. He was on the cusp of main event status. And now his entire career might be defined by the worst moment of his life. Through no fault of his own, he's become a viral sensation for all the wrong reasons. Do you know how devastating that must be? Can you imagine working for decades to perfect your craft, to build your reputation, to earn